This is the Straight Truth Podcast, biblical answers to difficult questions from a Christian worldview. Pastor, one of the joys of ministry when you have a few years under your belt and you've gotten a bit older is the opportunity and privilege it is to encourage younger pastors who are just starting out. You've done that a lot. You've done that with me. You've done that with many other people that have come through the ministry here, and even people that are here today. You have assistants, and then, of course, there's a seminary here where you get the opportunity to instruct these younger men in pastoral ministry. So I wonder if you could just kind of outline for us, what are some principles that you might give for maximizing those relationships?
Yeah, one of the things I think is both older men and younger men, getting our minds right about this. I think mutual respect is necessary for that relationship to thrive. I think there's a sense in which we joke about it sometimes around here, the get off my yard, old man mindset, You really have to lose that. I mean, to remember what it was like when you started in ministry, and to realize as a result great strengths that are present in our youthfulness as we serve in ministry. Zeal, a hopefulness, a sense of expectation, maybe it's not the right word, but even dreams in ministry, things that you hope to accomplish, not for your sake. I mean, the Lord's at work purifying our motives. I'm not saying there's never any self-interest in some of the dreams we had, but you just really want to serve the Lord and be useful. And if you can remember that, then what you don't do is diminish the importance of those young men. You don't treat them like they're beneath you. They're co-laborers. We are, we're in a cohort of ministry together. I think that's important on the older man's part. With younger men, there needs to be the realization that experience is helpful. And so you have respect for and even admiration for the years that men have served before you. When I was a younger man, I would sometimes think about an older man that was having an influence on my life in ministry and think, okay, how old was I when he started? In some cases, I was 5 or 7 or 10. I mean, that man was serving when I wasn't even thinking about ministry. So all of the wars he's been through, all the things that he's learned as a result of experience, those are things I need to have respect for. And so I think if older men can have respect for the blessing of youthfulness, and if young men can have respect for the blessings of experience, then you've got a great partnership for mutual encouragement. There's something very encouraging for an older man about having a younger man to pour life into. So those young men actually serve as great encouragement to older men in ministry. In terms of principles, I would say availability. For older men, you've got to be available to those young men. You can't predict when they're going to need help. You can't predict when they're going to face challenges that maybe they want to have a phone conversation and get some advice for, or in our day and age, a text message or whatever. Are you available to them? You need to be. Younger men not being ashamed to admit what you don't know. Not being...
It's tough.
Yeah, it is tough sometimes. Not feeling like you have to fight those battles by yourself. In fact, being wise enough not to try. You're facing something, you're not sure what to do. Pick up the lifeline, so to speak. Obviously the preeminent one is prayer and seeking the Lord's face and seeking His Word. But it's not wrong, it's right to reach out to, if you have them, to an older friend in ministry and say, do you have some advice for me here? And I think when churches are doing ministry well, then those relationships are actually formed in the local church. So we have men who've left here to go serve as pastors elsewhere, and it's not unusual for them to reach back our direction for advice. We've been involved in church planting. It's not unusual for us to meet together and have conversations about ministry and what's going on in ministry. So both in the in-house way we do it with ministry staff and students, as you mentioned, the seminary, but then externally, just having those kinds of friendships in ministry where mutual blessing occurs. That's a sweet, sweet privilege from the Lord.
So obviously the Apostle Paul, he seems to pass down his wisdom to Timothy, Titus, others, maybe the Ephesian elders in Acts 20. And does a pastor today does he have the responsibility to do this? Not just that it's a good thing to do, but is it his responsibility to sort of pass down the mantle of wisdom and wise leadership?
Absolutely. Yeah, it is a responsibility, and it's something we need to have worked into our worldview with respect to ministry. Do I see this as a requirement, something that the Lord expects of me? And I agree, Josh, it is something He expects of us. And there's always someone who's ahead of us, and there's always someone that we can be a benefit to. During our course of life, there will always be these opportunities to learn and to pass on learning. And if we're committed to both, it tends to our spiritual health.
And it seems like you're exhorting a kind of a supernatural humility on both ends of this spectrum, right? From the older pastor down, and then also from the younger pastor.
Absolutely, and it needs to be real, not feigned. May the Lord help us to see that it's the truth that younger men bring something to ministry that help us as we get older, and older men bring something to ministry that help us as we're younger. And if both can see that, then there's mutual blessing in the relationship.
Thanks again for joining us for this episode of the Straight Truth Podcast. Now, Straight Truth is listener supported. So if you'd like to find out ways how you can help us to continue to produce this podcast, you can go to our website and find out ways to do that, straighttruth.net. At that website, you'll also find links to all of our previous episodes and our social media channels, so be sure to check it out. Straight Truth is a production of Walking in Grace Ministries, the preaching and teaching ministry of Pastor Richard Caldwell. For more information, go to walkingingrace.org.